Chapter 30 The Library of Souls. High in the Emporium's twisting corridors, Daniel and Ellie stood before a doorway in the midnight brick. Cracks were crawling along the walls even as they arrived. The door swung open. Daniel felt a cool breath of air on his face, and a familiar earthy scent lingered. The door led to a set of wooden steps. The steps opened up to a vast cavern filled with calm, black lake. All around, huge shapes stood in the water, monstrous shadows reaching towards a ceiling that might have been miles above. A twinkle of light flickered somewhere in the gloom, then another and another. Gas lamps were glinting to life all around, blinking stars in the great darkness. The light was weak, but the darkness receded a little, and the giants in the water were visible for the first time. They were bookcases. When he had walked the streets of Manhattan, Daniel had often thought the tall buildings resembled great canyons of concrete and glass. The bookcases in this library were as tall as many of those buildings. Some of them stood in regimented rows, linked by bridges and stairways. Others took more interesting forms, spirals, pyramids, and irregular mountains erupting from the black mirrored surface. A city of books, thought Daniel. He stood with Ellie on a tiny island of wood, a platform no more than 3 meters square, black water lapping gently all around. Then far off in the water, Daniel saw the soft glow of a lamp floating towards them. The speck became the shape of a boat, and on the boat stood a tall hooded figure in the white robes. The boat pulled up at the platform. The figure stepped from the boat into the wooden floor. "Welcome to the Library of Souls," it said, in a whispering voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Daniel wondered if the books themselves were speaking, and he shivered. The voice continued. "Stories are precious. They are treasure, and the most precious story of all is that of life. Here amongst these countless canals of ink, high in the bookcases, you shall find the story of everyone who has ever lived, everyone who shall ever live, past, present, and future, life and death. I will guide you to the tale that you seek." The figure said no more. Daniel spoke first. "We'd like to read the story of Vindictus Sharp, please." Behind the white hood, the figure gave a nod. It stepped onto the boat and motioned for them to follow. As the boat moved off, Daniel dipped a hand into the black liquid, rubbed it between the fingers. It really was ink. The boat moved between great mountains of books, beneath archways and tunnels carved through the bookcases. "It's strange, isn't it?" said Ellie, her curls blowing in the breeze as the boat coasted on. "The story of everyone. Do you realize, Daniel, you could find your own book and read how you're going to die?" Daniel swallowed. "I think I'll leave it as a surprise." The boat docked in one of the narrow canals between two bookcases, hundreds of meters tall. High above, several rope bridges crisscrossed. The hooded librarian led the way from the boat, hopping onto the wooden platform at the foot of the bookcase and up the first staircase. The climb was steep. Daniel's legs were burning when the librarian called a halt at last. "Where is he?" asked Ellie anxiously. "Where's Sharp's story?" The librarian strode to the bookcase, reached out, and pulled a very fat volume from the shelves. The cover was black leather, and the pages leafed with gold. On the cover, serious-looking golden letters spelled out Vindictus Sharp's name. The librarian reached out a hand and offered the book to Daniel. It was heavier than he thought it would be. He began to flip through the pages, but as he tried to read, it became obvious that something was very wrong. Words were moving on the page, disappearing and shifting and merging with the other words. The whole book was a jumbled, wild tangle of letters. "It doesn't make any sense," he said, handing the book back. "What's wrong with it?" The librarian looked through the book. A pause. "This person has committed atrocities," it said. "He has taken from others, stolen time. He has torn and warped his own life, his soul, so much that it has become unreadable."